Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be on this knife, and this is the Civivi Baby Banter by Ben Peterson. So you can see the "What is up, guys" logo there on the blade. And this is actually, I think, my third, not first, not second, but third video on the Baby Banter. And so it's one of those knives that I've kind of gone back and forth on. I generally will carry a larger modern knife than this. But there's a reason why I have come back to it, or there's a couple reasons really. So first of all, this knife is designed by Ben Peterson, who has now created the company NAFS, which is a great company that sells knives, his designs, as well as other EDC related tools. And I really appreciate Ben's perspective on knives, knife designing, kind of the business, the industry of knives. And he seems to really bring a positive energy to the knife industry. So it's kind of funny that I became, connected, or at least aware of his knife designs, started reviewing them because I was pretty critical, probably overly critical, of his first design, the Banter, on Reddit. Basically, somebody posted a picture of it, and I had a bunch of criticisms for it. And he said, if you can, review a knife this thoroughly just by seeing it, I want to send you one, get you one in hand. And I was really impressed by this knife. It's not the most aesthetically beautiful design out there, but it's very practical. It feels great in the hand, has a very classic blade shape, super well made, which is no surprise because it's made by We Knives, the higher end sister brand of Civivi. And so since then, I have reviewed, I think, all of the knives that Ben Peterson has designed, except for the recent fixed blade. They kind of sold out, and I'm not as much of a fixed blade person, but I do want to review that one also at some point once I can pick one up. But I've reviewed all of them, and I think that he's really created his own design language. And the Baby Banter fits into that in an interesting way. So first of all, it is smaller than the original Banter. I'll show you next to the original. And there is also a Big Banter, which is bigger than the original Banter. But I argued in my review of the Big Banter that it is more of a really big Baby Banter. And the reason for that being that it has the 50-50 finger choil like the Baby Banter, and a little bit more of the design style of the Baby Banter. Whereas I was hoping for just basically the exact same design as the normal Banter, but elongated. And I still hope that that comes out at some point. But I didn't end up keeping the Big Banter because it wasn't, exactly what I was looking for after having reviewed it and everything. But I have reviewed the Baby Banter in a couple different configurations, and I really do think that these knives, particularly Ben's knives, have kind of started to, convert me to liking smaller knives. A really good example of that is the recent Civivi Sendi. So this is another design by Ben that is smaller than I typically carry for a modern knife, but I have really been enjoying this. I've been carrying it a lot, just enjoying it, even after reviewing it. So sometimes I carry knives because I want to review them, and then they kind of get left behind. But that one I've been carrying even since then. So the size I can kind of get over, and one of the great things about the size of the Baby Banter is that it has this 50-50 finger choil. So if you don't need a whole lot of blade on your knife, a whole lot of edge, I should say, then the 50-50 finger choil is a great thing to help you have more handle. So if you want to have a bigger handle, fit more of your hand on it, then the 50-50 finger choil really helps with that. Now, I still can't get a full 4-finger grip on this knife, even with the finger choil. I get more of like a 3.5, 3.25 grip. It is pretty comfortable though. So that's one of the things, even though it's small, which has kind of pushed me away from carrying it as much, it does feel comfortable in the hand because you have this 50-50 finger choil. So that's one really nice thing. The other thing is that I do like this blade shape. It's a very practical blade shape, but it's a really small blade. So, you can get this finger test that Ben has talked about, where you can get your finger to the end of the knife for finer cuts and things like that. I do like that, and actually I think it's good for outdoors use also. So I think that the small blade, it's a little smaller than I prefer. And the reason for that is because a lot of the times I'm carrying a traditional knife also. And even something like a GEC 15, which is not, it's on the medium end, you can see that you get more edge out of the 15 than you do out of the Baby Banter. But like I say, it's kind of a trade-off. You have that nice blade shape, but it's a little smaller than you might want, or that I might want. So what really drew me in to review it again? Well, honestly, it's this really cool color scheme. So this color scheme, it's kind of like a pastel pink and a pastel blue. It's kind of I don't know, like a dusty blue kind of is what I would call it. And I really like it. There's this big craze in the knife industry of the Desert Warrior. So not Desert Warrior, but Desert Warrior, where it's these colors, but then also like sprinkles all over the knife and things like that. I haven't really jumped into that yet. It's not that I dislike it. It's more that I don't as much prefer the donut theme as I do the colors themselves. So, I'm not going to say I never eat donuts, but I try not to eat donuts because I'm always trying to eat healthy and everything. But I'm not like a huge donut person, and I do like these colors. So I've kind of stayed away from the Desert Warrior, but when I saw that Civivi was coming out with this Baby Banter in these beautiful blue and pink colors, I thought it was great. I really love having some color on my knives. It can get pretty monotonous having black knife, tan knife, green knife. Black, tan, green are pretty much the most common colors for these modern knives, and it can get monotonous. I do prefer to have some color. So I really wanted to check it out, and I think it looked great. I think that Civivi chose really nice, like a nice light pink, a nice dark blue. And I think it works for anybody. I mean, if you have some aversion to pink as a knife guy, whatever works for you. But I think it would be great for a woman with the pink, for a man with the blue, for a man with the pink, for a woman with the blue, whatever you like, The only thing that I think would make this better, and I actually suggested this to Civivi, is a yellow blade. If you slapped a yellow coating on this blade, it would be so pastel, so cool, so different. I really think that it would make it pop and be super unique in the market. So I'd love to see a yellow coating on this blade. Might consider getting it coated, actually. I don't know. But I think that would look really, really nice. A yellow coating on this blade. Now, as always, Civivi knives are just super consistent and super well made. At this point, I think everybody knows that Civivi can make but does make a really good knife. I haven't had to adjust this at all. I've carried and used it a good bit also, as you can kind of see from the stuff on the blade. And it is super smooth, easy to slow roll if you want to. Drops closed, and because of that finger choil, the edge isn't hitting your thumb. You can middle finger flick it nice and easily. And of course, you can fast front flip it. Not front flip, thumb flip, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm talking about. Also, very well centered and locks up really solidly. No side-to-side blade play even when unlocked, and locks very solidly at about maybe 50%, something like that. So super well made, as Civivi knives are. Really, there's, I think everybody knows that at this point, that Civivi makes a super well made knife. I'm going to give you a couple more size comparisons here. So here is a Civivi Elementum, a modern classic for EDC, and you can see how small the Baby Banter is. I would call this like even a fifth pocket, a watch pocket type knife. You could put this in your watch pocket on your jeans, the Baby Banter, and have it be really unobtrusive, particularly in this pink and blue color scheme. I don't think anybody's going to give you too much trouble about this tiny little pink and blue knife that you're carrying around. Here is a size comparison to the Lander 2. This is the latest model from NAFSCO. Actually, I don't know if it's NAFSCO. I think I've been saying that, unnecessarily. It's just NAFS. But anyway, you can see that it's much bigger than the Baby Banter. So it is a small, unobtrusive knife that you could carry most places, especially in this pink and blue configuration, without much trouble. So I've enjoyed getting to check this out. I hope they make a yellow bladed version. I think it would be super cool. I think it'd be a great, spring, just a really festive kind of colorful knife that could bring some pop of color into your EDC. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I want to say thank you, as always, to Civivi for sending this knife for review. Check out my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and select all so you know when I post new videos. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.